September.
So this is like 2 months before the
September.
election. That's exciting.
Don't abuse that word. It's a nice word.
Oh, no, I don't mean exciting in the sense that I can't wait to see Election Day. I mean exciting in the sense that the election will be over.
Ah, yes. Right
least
there
for
with you, my friend.
18 months.
My entire adult life has been predicated on the idea that every 4 years is a living hell of anxiety and stress that are just have to be overcome.
By the way, if you have an election that lasts more than 18 months, you should consult your doctor.
Well played.
It is painful. I'll be honest with you. It's like, how many different stories can you read about the same event? It's like that there's a football game. We only have one football game every 4 years. And in between football games, all we can write about, for a couple of weeks, we talk about the football game we just saw. And then for the next 3.5 years, we talk about the football game that hasn't been played yet.
Trying to give people a compelling idea who's going to win, because uncertainty is the thing the human mind cannot stand.
That's right.
But Scott, here's the gift the Democrats have given us. They've spent the last 3.5 years or so trying to relitigate the last election instead of planning for the next one.
And that did take the edge off a bit. I mean, because if you're stretching out the post-game analysis show, that was like a football game that lasts for 3.5 hours, and then the post-game show lasts for like 6 months.
It's kind of more like they do like a timeout video, like a video call where they want to go to the video slow-mo to confirm a call, and they're away from the game for 3.5 years. That's what it feels like. While the refs check the slow-mo to see if the ball was in bounds.
I would actually, at this point, just a little over 2 months before the next election, I would welcome another opportunity to relitigate 2016. It's so much more comforting. I feel like I know what happened there. Like the outcome is not in doubt.
Well, despite their best efforts.
That's right. Yeah, no matter what happens, it's still going to be the same result. So we have a meeting once a week, and if you're new, and we've had some new people joining of late as members at BillWhittle.com, and this is a kind of, it was really not intended for you. Let me just put it that way. We were having a meeting anyway, and then somebody decided to turn the camera on, and so.
Sorry.
And I won't say who that somebody was because of my Fifth Amendment rights. But in any case, so there's really, this is, I was going to say a loosely organized meeting, but that gives, just using the word organized.
Organization's a bit strong. Yeah. Walk that back a little bit.
We don't even aspire to loosely.
That's right. So, by the way, we had one of my favorite things. We have a new member who signed up and apparently sent us an email because he accidentally signed up for the annual subscription, but he really wanted the monthly subscription. And so I did not see an email from this new member, whose name is Dan. But apparently he felt like he couldn't get through to me, or we didn't respond quickly enough. And so he posted to the blog, to the member blog, and said, look, I know this isn't the way to do it, but by the way, I just accidentally signed up for the annual when I meant to do the monthly. So I went in there and switched it and then posted a comment to the blog. And, there's a little part of me that goes, well, this is kind of a behind the scenes thing. It really shouldn't be on the blog. But I thought,
got your attention, though.
We're all family.
Yeah, that's right. So don't worry, Dan. We know you'd rather make 12 monthly payments, so we basically signed you up for 12 annual memberships, one of which will be billed every month. And thank you for your support.
And I don't think I've heard a better description of why Bill Whittle doesn't do what I did this morning than just that right there. So anyway, thank you, Dan. Thank you to the new people who are joining, and this is our little game here that we play each week to decide or to kick around what we're going to talk about. I have 2 episodes to host this week, and the first one I thought was interesting. As we record this on September 1st, there is a new newscast that is about to spring from the loins of a company called Next Star Media Group based in Irving, Texas. They bought the WGN America TV station group. There's like 185 stations. What's that?
Oh, I'd never heard of this new group, but everybody knows WGN. Anybody with basic cable anywhere in the country. Yeah.
So there's like 185 of those stations, some 5,400 employees across the country. And what Nexstar is trying to do, they're going to do a show called WGN's News Nation. It will be a 3-hour nightly newscast designed to actually, I hope you're sitting down for this, report the news. Is everybody okay?
It'll never work.
So the idea is that most of the other news outlets, especially the cable news outlets, have become primarily not newscasting organizations, but rather opinion organizations, with your Rachel Maddows and your Sean Hannity's. And it's more about who is delivering the news. And years ago, I read 2 biographies of Ted Turner, one biography of Ted Turner, one story about how CNN started. And Turner, at least early on, had this idea that it was going to be the personalities wouldn't be the attraction, it would be the news itself. And being able to go, 24/7 with that, that clearly we've gone far from that goal.
And then he immediately hires a guy named Wolf Blitzer because he doesn't want because he doesn't want any attention paid to the anchors.
What do you want him to change his name to Joe Smith? I mean, the poor guy was.
We've got Wolf Blitzer in Baghdad and Blast Hard Cheese reporting from Washington.
Well, the real takeoff moment, of course, was Bernard Shaw, hiding under the coffee table in Baghdad, which was lit up like a Christmas tree during the first Gulf War. But anyway, so this they're going to make a stab at this. They've a lot of the news on the show will apparently be delivered by the correspondents at its local news affiliates around the country. But then there will be anchors at the main desk. They have a Western bureau chief and an Eastern bureau chief. International news will be provided
Just out of curiosity,
by
Steve, did Scott's picture lock up and his audio disappear too?
Yeah.
But
he's trying to catch up here.
I think pronounced Reuters. And
you're freezing up, boy.
What's that?
You're freezing up. Your picture's freezing, and your sound is becoming choppy.
I feel like somebody's locked up here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, while Scott works on that,
I understand. I'm going to keep talking. I'm not working on anything because I can't do anything about it.
Well,
so
never mind.
Let me take a look at my computer here and.
You do that. I'll tell my favorite CNN story from the first Gulf War. The
problem is we've had really tough.
We've had what?
Please do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Poor Bernie Shaw hadn't slept in like 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever, during the opening of the war. And he kept going on about the dichotomy that he sees. The people are saying, Saddam, you have your war. And we'll go about our daily lives. And there is this dichotomy. And he must have used the word dichotomy half a dozen times. So for years after that, my friend Rob and I, who had watched a lot of this coverage together when I was living in Northern California, had added, tell us about the dichotomy, Bernie, to the what's the frequency, Kenneth. We had both of those catchphrases working for us.
Well, I think I've got my video working better. And the viewer doesn't get to enjoy the problem with this video at all.
No, because we record locally and all the local recordings look great. But when we're trying to communicate with each other, it's kind of like tough. Chinese algebra.
So we just look a little, I look a little silly because I'm fiddling around with this. So here it is. You can see Steve and Bill on the...
hey, that looks just like me.
On my computer. It's a reasonable semblance.
Howdy.
So anyway, that's how we do this behind the scenes. But we've had some storms lately. My wife does a lot. She's working from home and has been for a long time now. But she was having a Skype call earlier today, and she said it was really messed up. We've had a lot of thunderstorms in the area.
Ooh.
And so and winds are out of the west-southwest at 47 miles per hour. The humidity is, I'm sorry, I got carried away there. Anyway, so what was the point? So these people are going to try to do unbiased news. fair news. And they've actually hired people who are experts in rhetoric and other kinds of academics who will file a nightly report after the newscast with the chief editor and basically say, here's, we thought it was fair. We didn't think it was fair. Here's where we thought you screwed up. And they're allegedly going to try to do this unbiased newscast. And the reason I want to do a show about this is because the honeymoon will last roughly 15 minutes into the first episode, and I want to do this show before I get to see that first episode.
Okay.
That sounds lovely. You know what it reminds me of a little bit is the Air Force's Red Flag, or I can't remember the Army version, but basically you have an aggressor squadron or an aggressor force in the Army that does nothing but train in enemy tactics, and your small unit goes there, or you send your fighter pilot squadron to train there, and you train against guys who live to embarrass Air Force or Army guys. Oh, and the Navy has Top Gun, of course. Same kind of thing. Yeah. And it's part of it is, we practice so hard being the bad guys that we're going to try and kick your butt. But the most important part is afterwards, there is a non-dressing down after action report in which the aggressor guys explain exactly what they did right and what you did wrong and how to do better next time. And if they can actually bring that to a newscast, I think that'd be kind of brilliant.
And the question I've had for a long time is there any market at all for it?
We're going to find out.
They think there is, and they just think that there are a lot of people who are just, they're not coming right out and saying people are just sick of blowhard pundits. Thank goodness for that, huh, guys?
They don't have to.
Just sick of their blowhard pundits.
That's right. It's not these blowhard pundits that we're sick of.
We want more of our blowhard pundits and none of theirs or less of theirs.
That's right.
As God intended.
Yeah, but I wonder, do people really want to hear the news? I mean, that almost goes back to like, hey, we're doing a high school research project or something, like we're really trying to find out facts, not necessarily trying to pull the facts out that will best represent our position that we've decided to take in advance. So
if it catches, it's the only thing that'll save the republic, I don't want conservative news. I don't want liberal news. I just want news. I want to be able to make my own decisions.
Oh, let me say so. I saw something in the comments in the last couple of days that we were laughing at people for watching C-SPAN coverage. Oh, no. C-SPAN coverage is the only news, if you can call it that I watch on TV anymore. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox, MSN. I don't watch any of it. When I have to live blog an event, it's C-SPAN or nothing, with the only exception being when the Democrats, for their presidential primary debates, picked MSNBC, I think, and maybe ABC exclusively to broadcast and host these things, and completely forbade C-SPAN from showing up with their cameras at all, which shows you where the Democrats are, if you ask me.
And I don't know if most people know this because it's been so long ago now, but C-SPAN is actually a cooperative effort by the cable TV companies in the country to provide a public service by having essentially, in many cases, unedited coverage of speeches and proceedings of the Senate and the House and things like that. So it was kind of an extraordinary thing, and it was one of the ways that the cable companies basically said to the government, "Hey, if we do this, will you lay off?"
What does the SPAN stand for?
It's cable.
Span. It stood for Spanx earlier, but they took the K off because there was a copyright infringement.
No, I can't remember what it stands for. If I remember correctly, Brian Lamb, who served as their main host for decades, was the brains behind putting that all together. In another year
it'll be rebranded. Guy. It'll be SPNZ in Helvetica, real thin.
And they used to do that show where they'd have people call in and you'd have a conservative line and a liberal line, or a Republican line and a Democratic line, and then they'd alternate. They're like, okay, this call coming in on the Democrat line. It was cute. Okay, so that's the one thing, this idea of News Nation, and I'm hoping it works because it's right nearby here in Irving, Texas. And if they're serious about this, I'm going to be knocking on their door. Hey, is it? But then they'll watch the things I've done here, and maybe I won't even get an interview. So the other show I would like to do is local as well. Dallas, the city of Dallas, has ordered the electric scooters off the street. You know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these little scooters that you can rent by, with an app and you can just pick them up anywhere and drop them off anywhere. People have had enough of that crap.
Yeah, micro-mobility is supposed to be the rage, but I don't know.
Basically that they've had complaints from citizens who, because most of the people who are riding these scooters have never ridden a scooter since they were 5 years old. And so, but just hazardous behavior by people who rent these electric scooters. Can you imagine that? Like I would never go into downtown city and go, hey, yeah, I'm 59 years old. I haven't done this since I was 5. Tell you what, let me just hop on this and head out into traffic or on the sidewalk or wherever they drive these things.
Bert Rutan and I were on identical Segways in Coeur d'Alene 4th of July party many years ago. I got on and I nearly broke my wrist, and I got back on again and nearly killed somebody. It was that all happened in space about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
those things are horribly dangerous.
People have no idea. Like they just think, oh, well, that looks cool. I've seen that on TV. People just go whizzing by, and it's a skill. Like
when the battery dies on a Segway, it just kind of and you just go down. That's it.
Really?
That's all there's. Yeah.
There's nothing to run the gyros that keep it stabilized. We got one of those hoverboards we got 2 of those hoverboards, one for each of our kids. Probably about 2.5 years ago for Christmas, and
like Green Lantern hoverboard. What kind of hoverboard are you talking about?
The ones you stand on and you tilt them and you go forward.
It's like a skateboard, but you ride it sideways, and it has 2 wheels and it's battery operated, and it's basically a Segway with no handle or anything.
So you got some excess kids, do you? Is that what you're saying?
No, my older one tried it, didn't really care for it very much. The younger one gets on board this thing, and suddenly he's surfing throughout the house without a problem in the world. It was like he was born for this thing. And you steer with your ankles, and by leaning backwards and forwards a little bit. To determine what direction you're going to go and how fast. As a kid, he had to be 7 years old at the time. So it just hops on, never falls, never does anything except own this thing. So I think it's one of these skills that maybe you're born with, maybe you just have to start when you're young enough. I tried it several times. I finally got to the point where I didn't think I was going to break my ankle or both of my ankles at any given moment, but it did not come naturally. And the first time I tried it, it seemed like a good idea at the time because there might have been martinis involved. And I would rather drive drunk on the German Autobahn at 170 miles an hour than get on one of these hoverboards with just one martini in me.
Yep. And I guarantee you by the next Olympics, China will have 10,000 4-year-olds on these things spelling out, 1949 to 2020, and they'll form a picture of Mao, a picture of Hillary.
I don't know how old I was at the time. I want to say like I was preteen, but I got a skateboard, and it wasn't one of those cool, great skateboards. This was the kind of cheap fiberglass skateboard that's only like
with the metal wheels.
Yeah, it's like a foot long. Yeah. I mean, it's a really small kind of skateboard. And I thought, okay, I lived in a really big house when I was a kid out in the country, and it had a concrete porch along the front of it that ran the full width of the house. So it was like 30 or 40 feet long. And so I thought, I will just take this slow. I'm just going to step onto the board, kind of get my balance, see how this feels, and then I'll try it with rolling a little bit and stuff like that. Well, as it turns out, skateboards were not meant to be stood upon while motionless. And in fact, that rolling is the key to staying on the board. And so I stepped up onto this board and I was like, okay, I'm stable. Okay, I'm rocking a little bit, just kind of getting, and the skateboard kicked out from underneath me. I went down on both of my elbows and hit the concrete.
Oy.
And I never really had any inclination to get on a skateboard after that.
I'm with you, man.
Skateboards today, they look like refrigerator doors with wheels on them. They're huge.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're much more, it's like a surfboard. But anyway, and then the other life-scarring incident, I went to pick up my son from high school, my youngest son, And he comes out of the school and he's got his skateboard, like he was skateboarding everywhere at the time. And he's got this skateboard and he decides he's going to take it down this wheelchair ramp. And I should have told him, wheelchair ramps are for handicapped people. You're able-bodied. Don't try it. Anyway, he's about 3/4 of the way down the ramp and that thing is picking up speed and it kicks out from under him and he goes down like I did. And I forget what he broke, but he broke something. And I tell you, for weeks after that, I had like PTSD. It was much worse watching my son fall than it was for me to fall.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's called
scooters off
being
the
a
streets.
dad.
That's right. Scooters off the streets of Dallas. Is this going to be a movement that sweeps the nation as rapidly as scooters on the streets swept the nation? Is there any place for just letting people leave rentable objects around in public spaces? And just kind of, you know, people were discarding these things like these and the bicycles and stuff like that. They were just like, you had to drive around every week and pick up the wrecked ones and the ones that were thrown away. Anyway, I thought it might make an interesting, if not comical, show.
Okay.
Stephen Green. Yeah. How about you?
Oh, it's my turn. I want to talk about what I decided I'm going to call self-canceling culture. It's the determination of our popular culture to become unpopular.
I'm not grasping it yet.
If that makes any sense. Well, I want to start with, actually, I think this is going to be the hook for the show. Did you hear what Pete Carroll, the Seattle Seahawks coach, said on, I think it was on a radio show on Saturday?
No.
This is great. It's white people are awful. The whole quote, well, I won't hit you with the whole quote, just enough for a taste. And I hit you with the whole quote during the segment. Black people can't scream anymore. They can't march anymore. They can't bare their souls anymore to what they've lived with for hundreds of years because white guys came over from Europe. Oh, I'm going to read the whole thing. And started a new country with a great idea and great ideals and wrote down great writings and laws and all of that about democracy and freedom and equality for all. And then that's not what happened because we went down this other road here and followed economics, rich white guys making money. They put together a system of slavery, and we've never left it, really. It's never gone away. Wow. And, you know, the NFL season is sort of is supposed to be launching here in about a week, almost 2 weeks. And you see attempt after attempt of people whose livelihoods depend on things like selling movie tickets, selling football tickets, selling commercials on TV shows or at football games, who are just absolutely determined to turn off their core audience with all of this woke culture stuff. And it's
not even half the audience. It's most of their audience.
Yeah. In fairness, Steve, nobody's more qualified to speak about white people than Pete Carroll. I think he's one of the whiter people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
What a virtuous guy, though. You got to hand it to him.
Well, he certainly knows how to signal that to everybody, and he's got that going for him.
What makes me sad is this way of looking at history just to buttress whatever it is you want to say now. I mean, and you just so infrequently do you see somebody look at history and go, okay, look, the thing about history is it was done by people. And people haven't changed throughout history. People do stupid things. People do good things. People do some things that are just in between, and you really can't tell if they're good or they're stupid at the time. And then later on, somebody decides for you whether they were good or stupid. And so it's this idea that somehow you have to trash the entire generation or the entire century or the entire founding fathers or discoverers of the land or anything based on something that they did that you say was wrong, which in many cases was wrong. But you can't just look at it and go, okay, look, there were these guys, they were like us. They did some smart things. They did some things that helped other people. They did some really bad things. They did things that hurt other people as well. And we don't have to come down on one side or the other and go, well, let's just trash everything they did because of the bad things that they did.
Think of the narcissism involved. It's like, I'm going to sit in judgment of Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, and I'm going to sit in judgment of all of these people that don't measure up to my moral superiority. That places me on a plane well above minor people like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson with their flawed morality, unable to see the snowy bounds of Olympus where I live, just the raw narcissistic vanity of it all is a lot of this.
He coaches a sport for TV cameras. I don't think he ever founded a nation or led to the creation of a new philosophy of government that eventually did end slavery, not just in this country, but help bring it down around the world. No. He coaches a children's game for TV cameras. That's a big deal.
7 generations ago.
Well, and I read a couple of biographies of Thomas Jefferson, and obviously he plays an important role in other books that I read about the founding and framing generation. And I have this kind of view of Thomas Jefferson based on what I've read that I have about Steve Jobs based on what I've read about Steve Jobs. I'm kind of in awe of a lot of stuff that he did, and I'm glad I didn't work for him.
Yes.
It's like I kept reading as I was reading some of the Jefferson biographies. I'm like, this guy's a jerk.
No, he is. There's a lot about Jefferson not to like, definitely.
Yeah. But that.
But if I could have visited him just for his wine cellar,
I guess what's missing is a sense of humility and self-reflection. The ability to look at oneself and go, well, yeah, Jefferson was a hot mess in some regards, but maybe Scott Ott is too. Like maybe you can look at yourself and for starters and go, gee, I wonder 50 years from now what historians are going to look back at that I'm now a part of and go, boy, I can't believe that those people did that.
You owned a pet? You owned another animal?
I don't own any pets. I'm not a monster like you, Bill
of another
Whittle.
Animal?
Sometimes, though, our mistakes become pretty obvious. It might have seemed like a good idea at the time to march through neutral Belgium to get to France, but then a couple of days later, Britain declares war on you because of it, and your navy isn't big enough to stop them. So, wow, what are you going to do?
I hate when that happens to my navy.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Pete, did he say, you started off with, I couldn't tell whether you were speaking or it was Pete speaking. Did he say white people are awful or something like that?
Well, I'm the one who said white people are awful.
Oh, okay.
I was paraphrasing, but only very lightly. The rest of the quote was all his, and of course I'll read that on the show without the embellishment. It seems unnecessary.
Is that the language spoken by the people of Belgium?
Yes.
Embellishment.
Somebody, one of my commenters on this morning's Insanity Wrap had a great idea for a Saturday Night Live sketch that if Saturday Night Live was even 10% of what they used to be, that they would actually do this. And it would be a couple of liberal white parents sending their Antifa kid off to the riots in the morning. Like a school morning sort of a situation.
And in fairness to Saturday Night Live, if you go back and watch like entire old episodes of Saturday Night Live, it was 10% good. It's just
I miss Jim Henson's Muppets from season 1. What do I know?
We remember the great skits or the things that we thought were great at the time. But go back and look at an episode that includes the swinging Czechoslovakian brothers, and you look at that now and you go, Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin, you go, was that funny? Did we laugh at that?
It was funny.
It was funny.
It was
very
funny.
That
was
a couple of wild and crazy guys.
Yeah, yes. No, that was good stuff. Just making fun. The joke was you have a couple of guys not raised in this country trying to become 70s swingers. Yeah. And that's funny. It's not that they were Czechoslovakian. It's that they were trying to adapt from what was certainly a conservative and oppressed communist Eastern Europe upbringing to swinging 70s America.
And basically mocking the guys who thought they were hip in the United States.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got Pete Carroll, White Man Bad. Okay, Bill Whittle, this is it. Bring us home.
Got a little tip from my friend Phil Trick. Do you guys have access to a web browser?
I know what those are.
Type in Antifa.com, A-N-T-I-F-A.
I saw this on Instapundit commenter this morning.
Is this the commercial website for Antifa? Hang on a second.
You tell me.
Antifa. .com. Go. Oh my. No, somebody is trolling Biden.
You think?
Yes. Did you look up whois.net?
I didn't.
Yeah.
But if it were
Steve,
me,
can you look that up?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Thanks.
See who
is there a
owns this.
defense against this?
No,
You would think there would be.
not
Yes?
without buying the domain yourself and having it go to a 404 or something.
Yeah, because they're just forwarding the domain. And it's like a hyperlink from our website. They can't really block that.
Yeah, who is?
It's already registered through namecheap.com, so somebody spent the big money.
That's right. Who's the owner? It's probably not disclosed. They probably paid the extra to not have to reveal who they are.
Joe Biden. It's owned by Hunter Biden, probably.
This is really terrible. This is like the actual JoeBiden.com website, and you
It is unbearably bad website.
You always get the donation screen first, and this one has Joe holding hands with Kamala, but they're both wearing black face masks. I'm like, come on, it's a website. You could have put pictures of them without face masks. It wouldn't have violated anything.
The first thing I saw when I went to that website was a picture of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they were so obviously photoshopped together. It was crazy, crazy bad.
Oh, hey, they have the same rich chemistry as Liza Minnelli and David Guest.
I like this the language. This is very Biden-esque. Chip in to elect Joe. Chip in. That's something he would say.
Oh, no. Do you know what he did say yesterday? I made a transcript of this because that's what I do as part of my other job. He said, COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. Think about it. More lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years. And you want to know the fun part? It appears that he's reading off a teleprompter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, normally he does pretty well on prompter.
Yeah.
You know, how did he go from being this guy who looks like Dano from Hawaii Five-0? I'm looking at the Joe Biden story now on his website. All of a sudden, he's this guy who looks like Oscar Goldman from the $6 Million Man. And that happened in a period of like 10 years.
Is it wrong that Oscar Goldman was one of my favorite people on that show?
I love Oscar Goldman.
So what do you think we ought to do about this? Do you think it's a show, or should I pick something else?
I don't know, because Steve, it doesn't say on whois.net who owned it?
It doesn't.
I'm guessing that's a setup, like one of our people, so to speak.
I kind of thought so too from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Hang on, let me go to Icon.
The only thing I regret is that they're not forwarding it to BillWhittle.com. Because if anybody's looking for Antifa.com and they find our website, they'll get a contrary view, perhaps.
You would think these young
They should be
hipsters
so lucky.
fighting the man would have been astute enough to have bought that website at some point.
Well, how many others are you going to buy, you know?
Well, Antifa.com, it's not like Antifa.tv3.
Oh, you're just saying the Antifa
you know?
movement people should have bought up Antifa.
Yeah, have George put it on his tab. It's not a big deal. You know?
Oh, I have the Vodka Pundit domain, even though it's subsumed under PJ Media and has been for years. I still pay for the domain so I can have all my email addresses and all that stuff. And it's a few bucks a month. It's
right.
It's basically nothing.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just make maybe we'll make it as an introduction to the Biden website, which I think is just horrifically bad.
If you go to Antifa.org, you get this page that says Antifa is not an organization. And then it has a screen grab of a tweet by Donald Trump that's saying the United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. So Antifa is not an organization. And then it says Black Lives Matter. So somebody bought this just so that they could troll President Trump.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? Ditch it?
Depends on what we're gonna do with it. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly. I don't think it's something that was intended by the supporters of the vice president. Oh, there is no Antifa.net apparently.
You know what, Bill? You know what you reminded me of? The Babylon Bee, America's newspaper of record, did a story, or maybe it was The Onion. I can't remember now. I'll have to look this up. Did a story a few weeks ago that the Biden campaign announced that it was considering launching a digital operation, which
a couple weeks ago? Is that what you just said?
I think they ran this story the last couple of months, but just the idea, that Biden is considering launching a digital operation for his campaign is just so spot on funny. And I think there's some truth to this, because what I've noticed is, I think it was just last week and a half ago, Kamala Harris hadn't gotten the new script yet that they're supposed to be condemning the riots instead of saying that they're mostly peaceful and all that stuff. And she was on with Stephen Colbert laughing and smiling while she explained that the protests were just going to continue forever. Totally off message, because Biden had come out just a couple, 3 days before and said, finally condemn the rioters. So what I'm seeing is a campaign that has a weak candidate at the top. I think we can say with a lot of confidence that Biden's in decline. And when you've got something like this, when you've got an organization that needs somebody at the top who can make decisions, but then can't make decisions, the campaign's going to change moment to moment, day to day, week to week, depending on which person representing which faction spoke to Biden last, or, can seize control of the campaign apparatus for a few minutes or whatever. And this is why I think the campaign is so rudderless, because there's no one person. It's competing factions trying to get this old senile man's attention. And so you've got things like not paying attention to basic stuff like buying up domains that could be used embarrassingly against you. If you go to, where's Donald Trump? There we go. Go to donaldtrump.com / something nonsense. Wait do you see their 404?
Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Well, you can do it, or I can upload it here. Where's the chat window?
No, that won't work.
Here we go.
DonaldTrump.com.
So I'm just putting this up here. Yeah, look at his 404 page.
/ nonsense?
Sure, / just type in some random junk. But I just uploaded a screen cap to the.
I see it. You're saying anything?
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's the story then, and that is that the masters of this the young hip Democrats.
The young hip Democrats.
Yeah, are all over this one.
It appears.
All right, I'll do that because I saw the Biden website after going to Antifa.com, and by the way, for those of you who didn't try it, if you type in Antifa.com, you go to Joe Biden's page, and I couldn't believe how bad the Biden site was.
Oh! You should see Biden's 404.
I just did it.
What is it?
He's saluting while wearing a mask. He shouldn't be saluting at all. He's not POTUS. And it says, "We couldn't mask this error, but you should mask yourself."
And then you can buy a mask.
With a link to buy a mask, yeah.
It's all over. At the shouting. It is.
Who's he
The pictures on Biden's website. Well, first of all, at the bottom, hang on, I got to find this. I got to find this because this is actually.
You know what?
Hang on a second.
Reagan actually, the whole president saluting officers didn't start until Reagan. Reagan was very early in office. I love this story, and he's explaining to, I can't remember who it was, but one of his cabinet people or maybe his protocol officer. He says, "I feel horrible. Everybody salutes when I walk past, and they just have to hold the salute because I can't return a salute." And whoever it was, his protocol officer, cabinet member says, "Mr. President, if you saluted back, I don't think anybody would tell you no."
No, he's commander in chief.
So
if you scroll down to the very bottom,
if you go to the page to buy the Biden-Harris mask, in dark letters it says, "Please be advised, masks are not medical grade." And then it goes on to say, "Biden for president makes no representation or warranty that the mask will prevent infection or transmission of viruses or other infectious diseases. We are not medical experts. If you have questions regarding health or safety, please consult with the CDC and/or qualified medical professionals." So you're just buying a vanity mask? Like
you're not
medical experts. That's my takeaway. If you go down to the very bottom of the Biden page, and by the way, JoeBiden.com is not as many letters as Antifa, so you can save yourself a couple keystrokes. Just type in Antifa.com.
Yeah.
if you go down to the bottom, it says Biden-Harris, and then it says paid for by Biden for president, a campaign made up of millions of grassroots donors and absolutely zero malarkey. And somewhere, the deep in the meetings about the design of the website that Joe is saying, we got to work the malarkey in there somehow. We got to work that malarkey in there. I mean, this is our no malarkey campaign. You know that there's not a person in the world who thinks this is a good idea except for Joe, who is insisting that there's somewhere on this site be a reference to malarkey because the kids will be able to connect to it. No malarkey.
I think he believes that HTML means it's high time malarkey leads.
There's a picture. I was looking at the pictures, and there's a picture of him. By the way, Kamala Harris looks like every picture of her, she's just laughing. She looks like a weather person in
amazingly
Boise.
lifelike.
She's like a ha, such a lightweight. There's a picture of her backstage with Joe, and they're like they're like this, and
they're high-fiving, yeah.
And I said, $10 says it was air high five. $10 says that these two people missed.
Well, they can't touch.
All right, I'll just make it about how awful this website is.
There's this picture of her hugging a child, and it looks like she's a crazed maniac who's going to crush the child in her arms. She's like,
it's unbearable. It's unbearably bad. Unbearably bad. And that's important. This is really says a lot about the campaign. There's Kamala Harris laughing like she's just accepted the vice presidency from some idiot. Yeah,
She looks so happy you'd swear she just locked up a dozen black guys for pot possession for 5 years each.
That's right. Who put it because it was their third felony, so they're going away for life. This on the volunteer form page. It's a 2-deck under the word volunteer. There's like a 2-deck subhead, and here's how the decks read: This is a battle for the soul of America, and Joe Biden can't win. Without you on this team, sign up to volunteer today.
You got to choose your page breaks, your paragraph breaks very carefully.
I'm way over here, and I got to jump all the way back over here to find out that he can win.
Kamala Harris is laughing like.
No, she's going to get a book deal out of this losing.
No, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Very rich.
And all of the people in that little scrolling, that repeating video, it's like everybody that you see in this thing. First of all, it doesn't look like there's very many people there, and secondly, it looks like the people that are there don't look like they really want to be there. That's it. It's like
it looks like they got all the pictures off of Pixabay.
You know what it's like? Here's what it's like. It's like watching Roger Corman shoot like a battle, like the Battle of Cannae,
with
Canny.
4 guys.
It's like with 4 guys. Yeah, that's what it looks like. He's got the guys and then people come out of the woods and they're wearing these things and they go back the other way and they're wearing the other things and somebody throws a spear and then it's like that. Well, Gettysburg is better. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
There's a video on here called Joe Biden Gets Vetted, and it's actually Joe Biden driving a classic Corvette. It's awesome.
Oh, now I'm picturing Joe Biden doing a Mr. Microphone commercial. Hey, good looking. I'll be back to pick you up later.
That's right.
Have you seen the picture of him down at the bottom, the black and white, where he's got his sunglasses on and he's going like this?
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to caption all of this stuff. It's like, so then Corn Pop and I wrapped a bandage around our hands and swore that we would be blood brothers forever. And we put our chains down, and the next thing I know, I'm standing here in the middle of all you people. What is this? Where am I? What's going on?
Here's also some good content management or good clickbait SEO stuff here. On the page called The Latest, which is, like their blog. Okay, these are the headlines on The Latest. Statement by Vice President Joe Biden.
The Latest is like 7 items down, 6 items down.
Yes. Statement by Vice President Joe Biden on President Trump's press conference. The next item, statement by Vice President Joe Biden on the deadly violence in Portland. The next item, statement by Joe Biden on ODNI's decision to end election interference. Statement by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Statement by Vice President Joe Biden. Statement by Vice President Biden. That's the headline of every single item on their little.
No,
latest
it really is. And it's like, wow, okay. You have got a movement here, young man. You have got a movement. Every
Joe Biden
single
hasn't
moment
had
of
a
your
movement
website.
in 3 weeks.
Maybe if he'd prune his campaign leadership.
I will set you up for that one there, boy. All right, so we'll make it about the Biden website. Just
All right.
with the
Okay.
Antifa
Can we
thing.
just do what we did there for the show? Can we just?
Sure, we'll just count
That was
that one
good
in the
stuff.
can.
That's right. Yeah, we'll just tell Mark, our editor, just take that, just clip this and make it a show.
Splice it in. And you're going to have to CGI different shirts on us, but that's no biggie.
Yeah, that can't be very difficult. My other shirt is not that different from this shirt. It just has a collar. I'm a two-shirt man. I've always been a two-shirt man. So that's it, I guess. We've got the Biden website. I should write that down because here we go. Biden website.
We're going for a record here. I'm at 46 minutes.
Okay. Well, I hate to set a record on anything here. So that's it then.
Wow.
We are ready to put on totally different shirts and produce this week's episodes of Right Angle. We're grateful to you for watching this, but also for providing the funding that makes it possible, for sharing this with your friends, for inviting them to become members at billwhittle.com. By the way, I don't know, I didn't really mention this to anybody, but lately I've been taking one of our episodes that we would normally hold over the weekend and post Monday morning, and I've been posting it to the website, accessible to members only, on like Saturday morning. And so for like 48 hours, the members have access to that episode. And it was especially this week, Steve, it was the members episode I think you hosted. And I just thought, we can't wait till Monday for this. So anyway, I do a special member weekend preview. And then Monday morning, I release it to the unwashed masses known as the world.
Oh, that sounds fair. You know, I just like to say that the quality goes in before the shirts go on. What happens to it after that, we have no idea. But
These two 404 errors, that's the election, man. I'm telling you, I'm serious. I'm not joking around.
You're saying it's indicative of what's going to win the election, not that it's actually
precisely correct. It is a prime example of the difference in how those campaigns swing that is going to get worse and worse and worse for Biden. The fact that it's the Republican with the clever thing and the Democrat with the very solemn, serious thing, it's just mind blowing to me.
Well, that's because the Biden campaign would have sat down and they'd say, did you see the 404 page for the Trump campaign? Did you see that has a picture of us and it makes us look silly like we were lost? And somebody said, yeah, why don't we do something like that on our website? And instead they said, well, no, because we don't want a picture of Donald Trump on our website because people will see Trump and that's giving him oxygen. So we want a picture of Joe Biden on our website. So at least they can agree on that. Both of them have a picture of Joe Biden.
It's very smart to try and starve the room of oxygen for POTUS because that's a thing you can actually do.
That's right.
For crying out loud.
Oh, that's awesome. All righty, ladies and gentlemen.
Get this goat rodeo on the road.
We're going to go trim our beards and our hair and change shirts and kick off the next week's worth of episodes of Right Angle. Thank you so much for making it possible. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. See you soon.